Yeah, hello. I honestly had like pretty much the same thought process in a lot of it, which was kind of good for me a little bit, you know. She'd be like, okay, I wasn't too far off the mark probably, but especially on what was it? Like consumption from wealthier countries affecting smaller countries. It's like a lot of people don't understand that climate change is very much so tied to capitalism and I guess like class struggles in a way. Like the U.S. Disproportionately and other wealthy countries like affected. I mean, like per capita, the U.S. is way worse than China, like per person, and way worse than any of these other countries that politicians love to like point fingers at. Like they love to say like China, India, or Mexico. The U.S. is worse in like many ways. We'll just do like carbon buybacks and then like, oh, what? Nothing happened. So I also heavily agreed that like a lot of wealthier countries had a very big role to play. Also, really thought it was interesting the synthetic option for palm oil. I was a little bit skeptical though, because like synthetic stuff usually isn't awesome for you. But hey, if it's like from algae and stuff, like they were saying, could be good. But you know, I'll believe it when I see it. You see like miracles to climate change every 2 years. Like I remember like solar road waves when I was in third grade. A lot of them kind of go nowhere. I also thought the audience for this documentary was definitely towards more people who are like skeptical or like learning about it at a more entry level, just because kind of how not as simplistic, but like all like the shock imagery and just like the kind of keywords they were using and how they didn't really go into a lot of stuff. Like they talk about like EU's climate goals and how they're reaching them, and they wouldn't like talk about how they're reaching them. It's like they're spending money to get rid of carbon, which isn't actually how it works. It's just kind of like a fake system, like with the carbon credits, carbon buyback, and all that. So I thought that was like, I mean, it's still a great documentary. Don't get me wrong, but I did wish they went to a slightly higher level on some of that stuff because that's stuff that personally, when I heard it, I was like, what? And I'm sure other people also were unaware of it. And for the innovation strategies to combat it, I also thought that the first two used, especially the Russian gentleman, that was pretty cool. But the third one I also used in my list for the energy saving fabric. I thought that was pretty tight. It just seemed really cool. I was interested in its like feasibility and efficiency. Like, what's it made out of? Is it biodegradable? How marketable is it? Because that's really what ends up being like, how expensive is it? If it's like 40K for a small building, it's not gonna happen. So I was pretty interested in that. And then personal impacts. I was a pretty crazy story you said about hiking the PCT through that. I was curious if it said what year you did it. Oh, 2 years ago. Gotcha. So 2021. Because I was up hiking a section of the PCT, like must have been three or no. Boy, I'm feeling old. When I was in eighth grade, I'm now a sophomore in college, so it's been a little bit. That was like my first good backpacking trip. You know, got me addicted. I was with my dad on Spider Gap, which is I think part of its PCT trail. It's in the North Cascades. It was really beautiful and awesome. And the glacier is like I remember seeing all these pictures of my dad doing that same hike. And it was just the glacier wasn't there anymore. Or like it was, but not the same glacier, not the same amount of glacier. It was just like my dad's old picture completely filled the valley, and then now it was kind of like just felt like walking on like 8 feet of snow. Because basically what it was now. So I also like definitely have seen the impact hiking in the mountains around here, and then also the fires. Like there's been so many summers that I've personally been skunked out of hikes and trips, just because how bad the smoke is. So I connected to that heavily.